Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're coming to you every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord. And man, we had such a great time in Cobbs Creek, Virginia, at Cornerstone Fellowship. Got into end times, got into the power of God, had a great time, so fun. And if you're anywhere in Colorado this weekend, we'll be in Glenwood Springs at New Creation. We'll be there Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Monday night. We'll have a great time. Come if you can, and we'll get into the Word. So we're coming every week to look at the different things that point to the coming of the Lord, specifically the gathering of nations for the Ezekiel 38 war, because the rapture is signless, but the second coming has tons of signs. You know, people say, well, you can't tell when the Lord's coming back. Yet there's more verses in the Bible to show us exactly what it would look like right before the coming of the Lord. Why would the Lord do that? He wants you to have a heads up. He really loves you so much. He wants you expectant, wants you excited, wants you joyful. Paul even said that about the rapture. I'm writing this to you so that you'll be happy and hopeful. So we have all these things happening around us. So the last day church should be well aware of it so that we accelerate. This is not an escape theology. It's when you see the finish line, you run faster. So let's look at what's happened around Israel this week. We try to get into a few things that happen. So many things keep happening. Probably number one was Israel caught Iran again shipping weapons down into Beirut, using the harbor of Beirut to literally be an offloading site because they are flying planes every day into Syria from Iran with equipment. Any other nation was doing that, saying they wanted to annihilate another nation, everybody would be going crazy. But Iran can do that and gets away with it every single week. So it's interesting they got caught again with Israel not having to go in and fire missiles. So much stuff, though, is happening around that. You've got Iran doing so much interesting stuff on the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, just with two British tankers. I saw the video of the Revolutionary Guard going in and capturing the vessel, them saying they didn't. Come to find out now, it looks like Iran's using Russian GPS altering equipment to try to show that the boats were off course. They weren't off course. They were international waters. Even England knows that it was wrong for Iran to do that. So you have all these new sanctions. I love how there's new sanctions even against Chinese businesses that are selling Iran oil. So there's pressure being put on Iran because of its thought pattern. So many more things keep happening along that same line, though. You have Russia flying airplanes close to our naval vessels, close to other airplanes. You have in the South China Sea, you had Russian airplanes get so close that North Korea fired at it, 360 bullets fired at a Russian airplane. So it's just weird the provocation they're doing to basically start World War III. You had Japanese respond as well. So Venezuela, Russia got Venezuela to have an aircraft go out and buzz our naval fleet. So little things that can lead to escalation because the Ezekiel 38 war is basically being set up to happen. You have interesting things happen with the Temple Mount. You had a vote in Israel showing that Israelis, a large majority of Israelis say they should be able to go up on the Temple Mount. Along with that, you've got Islam saying they're going to build another mosque on the Temple Mount. So bizarre. You had some, in Arabic, you had slaughter the Jews written on the Western Wall. It was painted. So you're seeing an uptick in anti-Semitism all over the earth. Last week we talked about all the earthquakes. So much stuff really, to me, is happening with Turkey. Turkey, of course, we decided not to give them the F-35 airplanes, so they're ratcheting up their business with the S-400 missile defense systems. Along with that, Israel's testing this week their new Arrow defense systems, along with their other three kinds of layers of defense systems. It's pretty cool. This is the one that specifically would be designed to keep Iranian missiles out of Israel. So we have terror tunnels again in Gaza. You got Hezbollah on the northern part of Israel threatening Israel every single week. I love Benjamin Netanyahu said this week. He said, bring it on. It will be catastrophic for Lebanon and catastrophic for Hezbollah to attack Israel. So all this verbiage is exactly what the Bible said you'd see right before the coming of the Lord. But there's many more little bitty hidden anti-Semitic things that are happening all over Europe, along with the setup for the Antichrist. You're seeing literally things happening that point to what happens right after the rapture of the church. Specifically with Russia having its buildup in Crimea. It was reported through American intelligence, the buildup of tanks, buildup of troops in Crimea. So all these things are in position because Jesus is getting ready to come. So amazing. Aren't we blessed? So we talk about the signs and then we talk about the signals. So let's talk about the signs. You have all this stuff happening in our lifetime. Now, what does the Bible say? Number one, Israel made a nation. Number two, Jerusalem being won back. Next, the Hebrew language restored. Then the Ethiopian Jews were brought back. Then you got the fertility of the land of Israel. Then you have the revival of the Roman Empire. All these physical, tangible things. Ezekiel prophesying 2,700 years ago that you'd have fish in the Dead Sea. This year, 2019, you had fish showing up in the Dead Sea. Amazing. Men would be lovers themselves. We have selfie sticks. So we're privileged to watch all these things come to pass. So that points to us as the last day church. Jesus is just about to come. So you have many more signs. I mean, it's radical. You got 172 different species of predatory birds that started showing up in the land. That's the cleanup crew. After the rapture, you have the Ezekiel 38 war. God calls on the fowl of the air to come clean the land up. 7 years later, he calls on the fowl of the air to come clean the land up again. So you got the cleanup crew in Israel. So you have the Temple Mount Institute ready to start having sacrifices. So you have Temple Mount Institute in position. You got the cleanup crew in position. You got Russia in position. So what's the church do? We accelerate. We go, this is our window to get the will of God done in a short period of time. Many more signs, many more. But then you jump to signals. You had the blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles. A couple years ago, you had 4 in a row. NASA calls it a tetrad. When's the last time you had 4 in a row on Passover and Tabernacles? 1967, when Jerusalem was won back. 1948, when Israel was made a nation. 1492, when the Jews were kicked out of Spain, the Edict of Expulsion. So you have all these things happening as signals. Then you have the Bethlehem Star. How amazing this last year, first time in 2,000 years. At the birth of Jesus, those 3 planets came together. The constellation was Virgo. This last year, the constellation was Leo. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Pretty amazing that God's basically waving from the heavens with signals, not only the signs, but signals Jesus is about to come. So we're privileged. There's many, many more that I don't have time to get into. But what's it say to us in the church? Help your local church. Help your local pastor. This is it. All hands on deck. We're about to see the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. The church is about to be caught up, about to be raptured. The Bible talks about the Antichrist can't even be revealed until the church departs. You can't have the Christ and the Antichrist here at the same time. And the church has so much authority, he has to take the church off the earth. So we're about to revert back to 7 years of old covenant time that God owes Israel. It's amazing. Jesus is going to reveal himself to his brethren right here at the very end. How privileged are we to watch the earth get set up, nature get set up for the entrance of the King, the protocol for every knee to bow, every tongue to confess that he is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Great radical changes very soon to happen to the earth because Jesus, God himself, is coming back to the planet. Have a blessed, awesome week. We'll see you next Wednesday. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the EDU at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.